All right, let's start this sucker off with the star of Wolf King, our heroic werewolf protagonist, Drew. Am I the only one that finds it hilarious that his name is Drew? Maybe, but this isn't Wolf King funny names. This is Wolf King in live action, so who would best fit the role of Drew Ferran? Well, we're gonna need to find someone who looks good with black hair and who's believable as a beleaguered hero. Walker Scobell has a great face, and he's age-appropriate, but he might be a bit busy due to appearing in Disney Plus's Percy Jackson series. He would also need a dye job, if we're trying to be accurate to the show and the books it's based on. Outer Banks star Drew Starky, seen most recently in Luca Guadagnino's Queer, is naturally a little darker haired, but he'd still need some grooming. He'd also be a little old for the role, but hey, this is Hollywood, we have 30-somethings playing 16-year-olds all the time. Last up for Drew, how about White Lotus Season 2 star Leo Woodall? Again, not age-appropriate, but 28 is the new 16, right? Whatever, this is all made up and never gonna happen, so let's go with Walker Scobell. Ditch the Poseidon crap and come be a werewolf, my man. Lady Gretchen is one of the more complex roles in Wolf King. She's a werefox and heiress to the throne of Hedgemore. Initially, she comes off as a bit of a bratty, spoiled rich girl whose only interest seems to lie in getting hitched to Prince Lucas. However, as she's taken on Drew's journey, things quickly begin to change and we start to see a new, more relatable character. Point being, we're gonna need a pretty capable young actress for the role. Also, I've got a word count to hit, and this is my best way of doing that. First up, Sadie Sink. I know she's everywhere in redheaded fan castings, but come on, that's because she freaking rules. If we're gonna go with slightly older actors, then how about Divergent star and one-time almost Mary Jane Watson, Shailene Woodley? And actually, if we're going to just be fan casting redheads who are totally out of our casting league, but who also at least worked on Spider-Man, let's throw Emma Stone in. Sadie Sink wins though. That's just math. Blah, 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 blah. Lady Whitley is a werebear and daughter of Duke Bergen, whom we'll be getting to. She's dark-skinned in the show, and that's what we'll be going with for her live-action interpretation, which is great for me, since I can only use Sadie Sink so much. Anyway, she doesn't quite look the part, but Storm Reed could work in the role, maybe? She's done great work in Hollywood over the last few years, including a memorable guest spot in The Last of Us. Of course, as with any time we do a live-action casting, I gotta throw Zendaya into the mix. She's great because she looks perpetually like a teenager. I don't know. Let's go with Amandla Steinbrenner. She was Rue in The Hunger Games, and to me looks the most like her Netflix animated counterpart. In fact, she wins. The role goes to Rue. For the role of Hector, Jacob Batalon might be good for the role. He plays Ned Leeds in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just can't stay away from it. I could also see Jimmy O Yang playing Hector. The comedian is best known for playing Jin Yang in Silicon Valley. Fresh off the boat's Hudson Yang, meanwhile, would perhaps be the most age-appropriate for the role. And just because I already said nah with two Spidey actors, let's go with Jacob Batalon. Prince Lucas is essentially the Prince Joffrey of Wolf King, and as such, I'd like to recommend Jack Gleason return to TV screens to take on the role. However, if he's not up for it, then there are some other options to tackle everyone's least favorite werelion. Ian Armitage already portrayed a pint-sized sociopath in Young Sheldon, so now that he's a little bit older and taller, how about tackling Prince Lucas? I say why not? There's also something to be said for Charlie Plummer. He was the child lead in 2015's King Jack, and he's got the Stephen King adaptation The Long Walk coming up. He looks the most like Prince Lucas, whom I think would benefit from Plummer's long blonde hair. I don't know, he just looks the most like a lion, and for that reason, he's my pick for Prince Lucas. You win, lion boy. Moving on to Duke Bergen, this is one where I'm honestly kinda in love with the idea of voice actor Patterson Joseph in the role, so let's see what that would look like. Thank you, AI artist. Forrest Whitaker would also be suitable for the role. He's a bit old for it, but that hasn't stopped me so far, so Forrest Whitaker. And lastly, let's go with Ving Rhames. He's big, he's tough, and he makes for a great hacker. That last bit doesn't matter at all, but I'm in the middle of a Mission Impossible rewatch, so it's on my mind. Anyway, Ving Rhames. He'd rock Duke Bergen, so let's go with Ving. Lord Van Kasken is another one of our many antagonists. He's a wererat with a penchant for magic. My first pick for Van Kasken would be Richard Brake, whom you might remember as the one really great thing about Rob Zombie's 31. Alan Cumming would also work well, so let's see what he'd look like with gross rat teeth. And finally, how about Michael Emerson? He's got a creepy vibe and he's a veteran TV actor, so he seems like a realistic pick. That said, I'm gonna go with Richard Brake. That guy freaks me out. Just an outstanding performer. And finally, we have to cast the Oranges guy. You know, the guy in Brackenhome who consistently loses out to various people and things, ruining his perfectly good cart of oranges. In a series very reminiscent of Avatar: The Last Airbender, he's the Cabbages guy for a new generation. I don't have anyone for this role, so let me know in the comments who you'd pick for the Oranges guy. I'm gonna go with Patrick Wilson. No good reason. I just like Patrick Wilson. As far as the plot for Wolf King goes, I think it's pretty obvious. We'd have to remain as close to the books as possible, which in turn means adhering to the TV show, since writer Curtis Jobling had a pretty heavy hand in that particular enterprise. So essentially what we're looking at is a live-action mix of Game of Thrones and The Last Airbender, but with a werewolf protagonist and a bunch of other characters shape-shifting into rats, lions, and even sharks. What do you think? Does Wolf King deserve to make the step into live action? Do any of my picks make sense? Did you even know what Wolf King was before clicking on this video? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching ScreenRant.